your first impressions of
My first impressions of her, and I just need to say that this is really hard. Um, that to have to remind myself of the reality that Mitt is no longer here is difficult because sometimes it'll be months or so when I don't hear from Mitt, and all of a sudden, we're talking to each other, and it's just like we've always been talking with each other, and so it's easier to for me to think about it's one of those periods, rather than I won't be talking.
She's a doctor of professional studies and also a MSW and a licensed clinical social worker. But more importantly than all of that, in my opinion, she is the president of the National Association of Social Workers. Welcome to this very special recording, Dr. Joyner.
Thank you, Mr. Kelly. I'm so honored. Well, social workers are everywhere. And my favorite line is, if you live long enough, you will access a social worker. Social workers are in the helping profession, as we know, but they also are presidents of colleges. They also are in the public sector. They work at the NFL. They work at the NBA. So anywhere there are people, there are usually a social worker.
I'm Joanna Bartholomew, founder and CEO of O'Hara Development Partners.
I'm Gary Daly, and I am the former president of the National Association of Social Workers.
Dr. Rowena Wilson from Norfolk State University.
Dr. Anna McFadder. I currently serve as founding dean of the School of Social Work at Morgan State University.
Cinda Akwe Doyle. I am the director and an associate professor.
Dr. Tiffany Lane, associate professor at the University of North Carolina, advocate, race worker, social worker, and mentee of Dr. Mitt Joyner.
I was overwhelmed by all of your words and your sentiments. To all of my social work colleagues, my previous students, my friends, and my family, all of you have supported me throughout all my professional endeavors. Every committee I served on, every leadership role I took, every class I taught, always there for me. Today,
I welcome this opportunity to be able to participate in this marking of the life of my sister friend Mitt Joyner, because I've not made any secret. I don't think that we've celebrated her life in the way in which I think the profession should have. I think that there have been moments, but they haven't captured who she was and what she was and why she mattered to so many. And I think that it's because it was being done from the places that were the head, and I mean, where the cerebral parts of her in the profession. But I think BPD was the heart. She believed in baccalaureate social work. That's where she spent her career. That's where the Mildred Mitt Joyner Gerontology Award is named. I mean, she already was a legend in the field.
and so looking at BPD, I want to remind you that you are the leaders, that you are our future. And the list of individuals that Catherine talked about are the people that we are obligated to protect.
when I was being recruited to here at Morgan State University in Baltimore, I was on the faculty of the University of Pittsburgh. Um, I initially said I don't want to be an academic administrator. That's not a goal of mine. Um, and Mitt was among the people who convinced me that that should be a goal of mine.
Professor J, I believe, was just getting ready to be appointed as Council Social Work Education President, CSWE, and she was leaving the president's office to talk about her new schedule for the upcoming year. And so she would be traveling a lot and was looking for an assistant for her department. And when she called me, she had me come up for an interview. And she said, first of all, let me just say, you're quite bold to apply for an assistantship and you are not actually a student yet or even accepted. She said I had to call the MSW department to make sure that, to get an idea of, were you being accepted or not. But she said that stood out to her about my ambition. The rest is kind of history.
My first impression of Mitt Joyner, Professor Mitt Joyner at the time, I was intimidated. I was at a predominantly white institution. Westchester University, had never seen a black professor on the campus. Decided to change my major, and someone was like, you need to go to social work. So I walk in the building, and it's this black woman. It's like, come in my office. I'm like, okay. And she's like, I'm the chair of the program. And I'm like, okay, I just want to come and learn a little bit about social work. She's like, no, you're going to be a social worker.
I met Mitt Joyner when I was a first year doctoral student at Howard University. I had a conversation with the then dean, Dr. Cudor Snell. We're organizing this social work congress. It's something that's supposed to happen once every 10 years. And they're really, really interested in inviting the next generation of leaders. And so he said, would you be interested in going? And I said, well, you sure you want me to be there? And he said, yes, absolutely, you belong there. So that morning, I take the metro into the NASW headquarters. And surprisingly, it was just this one big board table. And all of the who's who of social work were there, sitting around the table. And of course, Mitt Joyner was at the head of the table.
So that ability to see things in people that they may not see in themselves is, I think, one of the most special things about Mitt.
My first impression was that she was a leader, and that's my last impression. She was a leader of leaders.
They have many different types of leaders, but I don't think that Mitt fits into a particular, very specific type.
When you are in charge and, there are problems that you have to address. Well, if you knew Mitt, you would really know that she was always calm, focused. She was a problem solver.
That she did not believe in drama. She would tell you that over and over and over. She would say, I don't believe in it and I don't do drama. So, and there's a difference. And she was just very clear, I do not do drama.
She was expecting you to get the work done, right?
One of the things she does is spend the time getting to know people. She spends the time getting to know people, their interest, their past experience, and just getting to know, character, what kind of person are you? Because when Mitt gets to the point of saying, you should do this leadership thing, that means she's done her homework.
As a leader, she was very much willing to groom up and coming leaders. And you don't see that a lot of times.
She had a list of people that she would contact, and she would call us special. You would feel special because she contacted you.
I think that she was a transformative leader. She was dynamic in personality. She had humor and grace, but that she knew what needed to get done and wanted it to get done. And I loved her for that.
She's a visionary. I always tell people that.
She just always had a way of letting you see things just different. because you're in the midst of it, you're in the day to day. So she had like an amazing eagle's eye view that is just really indescribable.
Mitt had a vision. She knew where she wanted to go. She knew when she became president of NASW, there were things that she wanted to do both externally and internally, because people don't understand when you're president of NASW, it is a huge organization, and everyone thinks where you touch it is all that it is, and it's very
Just this
complex.
notion of not just kind of leading from afar, but someone who is in the trenches with you doing the work, right? Not just someone who's a visionary, because she was a great visionary, but someone who really had a vision, but then said, okay, so let's actually sit at the table and do it.
And so if something needed to be dealt with, it needed to be named. She was direct. She wasn't cruel, but she was direct. She wasn't going to sugarcoat things. And her leadership style was bringing people along in a way that was authentic and real.
Very much into the detail as a leader, what needs to be done, how it needs to be done, but very much giving people their props and giving them access to doing great things in social work. She was also, to me, ahead of her time because she was very much open to innovative ways of looking at social work.
She used technology. I think Mitt was the technology president. Quite honestly, I hadn't thought about it that way, but she was the technology president.
I would even, let's talk about Mitt Joyner as a fundraiser, right? Just the idea of being able to raise funds, to create spaces for people to come in and donate to amazing efforts. I always talk about the Frederick Douglass statue at Westchester University. She raised a lot of money. I gotta run, baby. Gotta put food on the table. Mama's working, you know, mama's able. I gotta run. I'm superwoman, flying through the city. There's only one way to make a baby go.
I think that was like one of the first big projects I did with her within my first year, balancing out everything between just general duties within the office, and then also making sure to meet with the pretty much like the steering committee that was in charge of helping to raise the funds, set this atmosphere, and really making sure that they knew why it was important for the Frederick Douglass statue to be on Westchester's campus, with that being one of the last places that he actually visited before he passed. We wanted to show people that having that statue really stood for social justice.
I am a professor emeritus from Westchester University. I chaired the social work department there for 25 years, and I taught there for 32 years. And I retired in 2011 because I was engaged in macro experiences. I was actually the president of BPD, which is Baccalaureate Program Directors. And then I moved to be a board member of CSWE, which is the Council on Social Work Education. Then I became the vice president of Council on Social Work Education, and then the president and first board chair. I just finished my term as vice president of the National Association of Social Workers. So I really didn't belong to any organization in a leadership role, and I had met a lot of people who were the best and the brightest, but I realized they were all mission driven, and it was all more about the agency and not really it focused on bending the arc of justice. But I went to Howard University and my graduate work, and that was my commitment, to bend the arc of justice. So when I got here and we got this home on island, I started to say, I'm going to bring some social workers up here. So I decided to call up all the people that I had mentored over the years and asked if they were interested. And 9 months ago, we said, yeah, they're interested, and we had no money. We had no places reserved, and I told them that I would serve as their senior advisor, and I found another senior advisor, and we would do it.
20 years from now, when people mention Mitt, right? This giant.
And when I reflect on Mitt's life, you can see impact all over the place.
Mitt made a space for everyone.
She has inspired, she has helped to develop people professionally and personally. And I can't even name them all.
A lot of the conversations that we had over the years, she poured into me to get to this point. And it's been heavy. Um, and I honestly don't know how O'Hara Developments would be here without her influence.
And you will hear that from anyone who knows her. Impact. I mean, and it's something that that no one could ever dispute in terms of the numerous leadership roles that she has had, in terms of the numerous, people that she brought into the leadership.
I have to shout out some amazing colleagues, Anthony Street, Yarnesia Dyson, who I think of when I think about helping to support them in their leadership roles.
She's had so many um, experiences to share.
At BPD, at CSWE, at NASW, on campuses all across this nation.
So you will always learn a lesson when you're around a person like Mitt Joyner.
She was a Triple Crown winner, which she was president of NASW, CSWE, and BPD, and that's not been done. The great Barbara White didn't do that. She came close, but so she's up there in a really amazing space. It's kind of like our profession's EGOT, right? She got that prize, and I think that she did it being unflinchingly, unapologetically black.
The one thing that I'm so looking forward to is that physically she's not with us anymore. Spiritually, she will always be, and I'm looking forward to being able to check in with her when we meet again.